Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and we're going to conclude our month of Studio 86 reviews by taking a look at the largest available in the Studio 86 line, Grimlock. And of course, Grimlock is sold at the leader class price point, but he's a bit shorter than most of the leader class toys that are available, so he's given a bonus figure in the form of Wheelie, which we'll take a look at Wheelie a little later in the video. We can take a look here at Grimlock. Of course, before we get too far into Grimlock, I want to give a shout out again to my buddy Cobra Island. He's been putting out Transformer videos on Sundays and other assorted G.I. Joe videos throughout the week. He asked me to give him a good plug, so there you go, buddy. Hope everybody comes and watches your reviews on the Transformers. At any rate, let's move Grimlock aside so we can see his backdrop, which shows part of the Quintesson courtroom. Basically, it's depicting the scene where the Dinobots break in on Hot Rod and Cup's execution. Supposedly, many of the other Dinobots will have some of this scene. I've read that Slags will feature the doorway that they burst through. And I believe the Sharkticon Gnaw will also have part of this scene, so that'll be interesting. Now, of course, for the benefit of those of you who are new to the Transformers, a little explanation here on Grimlock. Grimlock's original Generation 1 toy is this one right here. This one's got a lot of play wear, so bear with me on it. The original Grimlock toy was released in 1985. And it would stay on shelves until 1987. As the leader of the Dinobots, and transforming into one of the more well-known dinosaurs, and having a rather colorful personality on the cartoon series, Grimlock was an extremely popular character. Grimlock would return to the toy line in 1989 with his second version of the toy, which would be a Pretender. While this toy is significantly shorter than the original toy, supposedly the figure had been upgraded so that he even now had jet thrusters in the dinosaur feet, which would allow him to fly. Rather weird addition, but knowing Grimlock, he'd find some colorful ways of utilizing that feature. On a specialty note, the figure by itself here would be released as a special Transformer Legend in 1989 that would be a Kmart exclusive. It would basically just contain Grimlock and his dinosaur tail, since it doubled as his weapon. Grimlock would then return to the line for a third and final time in 1990 as an Action Master. Now, while he was one of the basic action figures available in the line, this one was done up to be somewhat more accurate to his cartoon appearance. While it really wasn't entirely accurate, since it reduced a lot of the extra kibble, it was the closest thing that we had to a cartoon equivalent look-alike. Now, of course, for the moment, we should bring up about Wheelie real fast, despite the fact that I know most of the fandom does not care for Wheelie. Michael Bay's version certainly didn't help that. Wheelie was originally introduced in 1986. This is his Generation 1 toy. Wheelie was one of the figures put out to promote the animated movie, and he was one of the last of the mini vehicles that would be released before that subgroup would be retired. In fact, out of all the mini vehicles released in 1986, Wheelie was the only one to have a unique mold. All 5 of the other toys were basically retools and repaints of previously existing figures. Alrighty, let's take a look at Grimlock's accessories. We'll first start with Wheelie here, simply because we can. Wheelie is a static figure, so he does not transform, but his arms can be moved a bit at the shoulders, and they do rotate all the way around. His legs are put in this stock position, so you can spread his legs apart, or shift them all the way around so he can kick himself in the back. And his head is on a bit of a ball joint, so it can turn from side to side. Wheelie's meant to sit on the shoulder of Grimlock's robot mode, but for some reason he doesn't want to do that very well on mine. But he will also sit on the dinosaur mode, so you can recreate their entry into the Quintesson courtroom. Wheelie's slingshot here is removable. Give you guys an up-close look at that. And of course, as you can see, it is very, very tiny, so this is a piece that will get lost very easily. And it's also a piece that could get swallowed by a very young child, so I would definitely not recommend having Wheelie nearby little kids. Otherwise, the only other accessory Grimlock has is his gun. It's his twin laser cannon, although some sources want to claim it's his rocket launcher, and it is not the rocket launcher, it is the twin laser cannon. Reach down here to the other toy, and you can see how it looks compared to the Generation 1 version. It is more of an upscaled version, and while it retains a few of the design elements from the original, it's also doing its own thing, which is kind of nice. It doesn't look too bad. Of course, the thing I like about it the most is that the laser barrels on the gun are kept straight, whereas on the Generation 1 version, the barrels were angled for some reason. So it was a little hard to convince you that Grimlock was a good shot if his gun had barrels pointing in different directions. Now we'll take a look here at Grimlock's articulation, and he is a bit of a stiff character due to the way that he was designed. His head can turn from side to side, and he can look up and down since he is on a ball joint. His arms will stretch out about so far, and they do rotate at the shoulder all the way. But you will have to shift it a bit to clear the back area. His arms do bend at the elbow 90 degrees, well, a little bit more than 90 degrees. But you do have to be careful with this joint, as it does tend to break very easily on brand new samples. And he does have a swivel at his bicep, so Grimlock would have G.I. Joe battle grip. I don't know how thrilled Grimlock would be over that, but I could somehow imagine him boasting about it. Grimlock can spread his legs apart into a full splits. There is also a way to twist his legs at the thighs. His legs can be raised at the hip 90 degrees, and he can bend at the knee 90 degrees. So all in all, the mighty Grimlock does have good articulation. One other thing we should point out about Grimlock is that he does have the ability to store his weapon here on his backside. His gun can apparently be clipped on to the dinosaur arm, and then he can store his gun on his backside. So I guess that comes in handy if you don't want to display him holding the gun. But then again, in Transformers the movie, he didn't really hold his gun. Alright, to transform Grimlock, it's a very simple process. Just surprising given his size. The first thing we want to do is bring his arms up so that we got the fists pointing at us a bit. And then we're going to rotate his hands inside. Just like that. Then we turn him around to the back side, and we're going to raise up the dinosaur neck up to that point. Then we got to come down here, and we got to start manipulating his feet by taking the heels and fold them downwards onto his feet. Then once that's done, you can open up these panels here on the back side. And we turn them around here to the front. So we're going to pop legs free at the knees and then start to fold them. Excuse me a second. Alright, as we're bringing Grimlock's legs behind him, this is when you will attempt to connect them together. And then, of course, once they're together, we'll continue to fold them up. Try to keep the side panels out as we fold them up against his back. Now that those are done, we'll come back here to these panels, and we are going to fold out the white portion so it will form the dinosaur tail. Then, of course, once the tail is out, you can fold the panels back together and try to connect everything up. Alright. Now once we've done that, we'll come up here to the gold portion of his chest. We're going to pop that free, and we start to fold it down to the lower section. And then it just locks in to place. So now we situate Grimlock here so he stands on his dinosaur claws. Then we're going to take the robot head and we will fold it downward inside his body like that. Then we take these side panels from his back, rotate them to the front, get them adjusted, and then close them up. Move down the dinosaur hands, and then we bring down the head, and then adjust it. And then there you have it, folks. Grimlock as the Tyrannosaurus Rex. The mode that we commonly saw Grimlock in throughout the movie. Unfortunately, the right-hand side of him, we do get to prominently see the screw holes. Now, of course, while some may criticize that, it is likely an homage to the Generation 1 toy, which also had screw holes in about the same spots. And of course, with this, you also get to see how he looked in comparison to his original toy. Now, what sort of articulation does Grimlock have in his dinosaur mode? Well, the head can be pivoted from looking straight to looking almost straight up. And of course, the jaws do open up all the way like that, so Grimlock can look like he's going to eat something. The little tiny dinosaur arms go out about that far, and they do rotate all the way around. Although you will have to watch going around his legs. They are on a ball joint and it will pop out relatively easily, so you will want to be careful with that. There we go, got it back in. The arms do bend at the elbow. In fact, they go beyond what they should. And of course, the legs can be positioned a bit at the waist, but if you move them too much, or if you're not careful, you may pop him free. But we can go and pose him like this, and we can have him going full Jurassic Park run. Which I'm sure Grimlock would love to try to do that against Rexy. Although then again, maybe Grimlock would like to fight the Indominus. Now, this in the dinosaur mode, Grimlock can store the gun. On the left-hand side of the gun, there are a couple of posts sticking out. And they will combine, they can connect to a couple of posts right here above the tail section. It's a little difficult to show you in the light, but there we go. That gets those on. And then, of course, you open up Wheelie's legs a bit, and Wheelie can be positioned right on Grimlock. And they're ready for their day in court. But you got to admit, that does look pretty good as a display piece. So now we get to my thoughts. What do I think of Grimlock? I love this figure, to be honest with you. I certainly do. This is definitely one of the better studio figures. And certainly one that fans are going to gobble up. No pun intended. Grimlock has always been a popular character from the original series and remains so. Regardless of how you think of him, this is definitely an impressive looking toy. It will certainly look good on the shelves, and even though it includes Wheelie, it's kind of essential if you're going to build up the scene with them invading the courthouse. Now, if only Hasbro had made the Courthouse playset a little more available instead of just an exclusive to them, maybe we could have some fun with it. Oh well, perhaps another day. And that concludes my review of the Studio 86 version of Grimlock. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and join our ranks. Make sure you ring the bell so you'll be notified when we post new content. We also ask that you share this video with your friends and fellow collectors. That helps this channel grow. And also share your thoughts about Grimlock in the comments down below. Now next month we're going to have something totally different. For starters, we'll have a change of scenery. It's only temporary. But we're also going to review another studio figure. We are going to take a look at all of the Constructicons from Revenge of the Fallen. And it will culminate in the end with looking at Devastator. So, please look forward to that. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.